Imagine trying to learn how to act by rehearsing in an entirely empty theater.
Right. Just you and the script.
Exactly. You have the script in your hand, you've got the director giving you notes, and you just practice your lines over and over again. But the seats are completely bare.
There's absolutely no audience to react to you.
No one to laugh at the wrong time.
Yeah.
No one, like, coughing in the third row to break your concentration. There's just no energy coming back across the footlight.
Which is a huge part of the actual job.
It is. And for decades, that is essentially how we have treated professional education. Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Yeah.
Today, we are exploring a massive, paradigm-altering shift happening right now, right at the exact intersection of education, industry, and really the entire future of hospitality.
Yeah, it's a shift that forces us to question the basic architecture of how we mold talent. I mean, if the real world is chaotic and noisy and, fundamentally unpredictable, why do we insist on training professionals in these highly controlled, artificially isolated environments?
Right, which brings us to our incredible primary source material for today. We're drawing from notes provided by Sam-Erik, specifically his audio journal, the Helsinki Calling podcast. And I want to get the context exactly right here. These are Sam-Erik's close and personally formulated, bottled stories called Helsinki Calling, about daily life in Helsinki.
It's such a unique format.
It really is.
Yeah.
And he also shares tips from his travels, what he learned from the local community, where to stay, where to enjoy a local meal, and various places of interest.
And it provides this fantastic, grounded, street-level perspective. Through his observations, we get an intimate look at a city that is quietly executing some radically innovative ideas regarding urban space.
And how people actually acquire complex professional skills, which leads us to the specific event Sam-Erik takes us to in his notes. He was invited to this exclusive breakfast meeting with several prominent hospitality influencers.
Oh, yeah, for the walkthrough of the new campus.
Yes, exactly. A groundbreaking new campus called RestoCamp. Okay, let's unpack this. Going back to that theater analogy, if traditional education is the empty theater rehearsal, this RestoCamp model is like learning to act by being shoved onto a live Broadway stage.
Right in the middle of a performance.
Mid-performance.
Yeah.
With a paying audience watching your every move, you are basically learning the choreography while the show is actively happening around you.
That is a highly accurate way to visualize it, honestly.
Wow.
And by the end of this deep dive, you will see exactly why that Broadway stage approach isn't just a quirky Scandinavian experiment.
Yeah, it's not just for show.
Exactly. It's a necessary evolution in workforce training. We are going to look at why isolating students might actually be a severe liability.
Right.
And how placing them directly into a commercial crossfire changes the fundamental output of a university.
But before we step through the physical doors of this new RestoCamp, we really need to travel to Finland conceptually, just to understand the DNA of the institution behind it.
Which is Haaga-Helia, University of Applied Sciences.
Right, because this isn't, some scrappy ed tech startup trying to disrupt things just to secure a round of venture capital funding.
Far from it. Haaga-Helia is essentially the bedrock of the Finnish hospitality industry. I mean, if we trace their history, hospitality education there dates all the way back to 1969.
Wow.
Yeah, with the founding of the Hotel and Restaurant Institute.
Over half a century ago. But the detail that really stands out in Sam-Erik's source material isn't the date itself. It's the origin story of that institute.
Right, how it actually started.
Yeah, because it wasn't created by a group of academics sitting in a faculty lounge, deciding what restaurant workers theoretically needed to know.
No, it was built by the industry, for the industry. The commercial operators in Finland in the late 60s looked at their economic pipeline. They saw rapid urbanization, a growing need for standardized quality in tourism, and they realized they had a severe talent bottleneck.
They just didn't have the people.
Exactly. So the commercial sector essentially constructed the school themselves to serve their own highly practical, immediate needs.
Which is fascinating.
It is. That inextricably linked DNA, where the classroom serves as a direct functional extension of the commercial reality, that still entirely defines Haaga-Helia today.
And we really need to underscore the sheer scale of their influence to understand the stakes here. Haaga-Helia is responsible for roughly 45% of all hospitality student intake and graduates in the entire country of Finland.
Almost half. It's staggering.
Nearly half. So if you are being served a meal, or attending a corporate conference, or checking into a hotel in Finland, there's basically a coin flip chance the professional managing that experience came through their system.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, When an institution controls nearly half the talent pipeline for an entire national economic sector, their educational model directly dictates the financial success of that sector.
Oh, absolutely.
They just cannot afford for their graduates to be purely theoretical. Their philosophy has always prioritized practicing in real environments over studying in a vacuum.
Wait, I have to push back here for a second. Because I know someone listening is wondering about the fundamentals. I mean, isn't there still immense value in just sitting quietly in a classroom to learn the pure theory first?
You mean before getting out into the field?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shouldn't a student master the hard mathematics of supply chain management or, I don't know, the strict chemistry of culinary arts in a quiet, focused environment before being thrown to the wolves?
It's a fair question.
Like, why is isolation such a disadvantage in this specific field? Don't we want them to learn the rules before they actually play the game?
Well, it is the classic defense of the traditional university system, and for certain abstract disciplines, it holds up perfectly well. But in hospitality, the rules of the game mutate the exact moment a human being walks through the front door.
Right. Humans ruin everything.
Pretty much. Isolation fundamentally limits adaptability. If you learn culinary arts in a sterile, perfectly controlled academic kitchen, you learn how to cook a flawless dish under flawless conditions.
But reality isn't flawless.
Never. You haven't learned what happens when the supplier delivers the wrong ingredients at 4 in the afternoon.
Oh, man.
While 3 servers call out sick, the point-of-sale software crashes, and a tour bus of 50 hungry, stressed guests unexpectedly walks into the dining room.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It's a typical Tuesday. Hospitality is the business of managing human unpredictability. If you isolate the student from that unpredictability, you aren't actually teaching them the job.
You're teaching them a simulation of the job.
Yeah.
You are teaching them how to swim on dry land, which works perfectly right up until you throw them in the ocean.
Precisely. Because human unpredictability is the one variable you cannot accurately simulate in an academic laboratory. Haaga-Helia realized they had to stop trying.
They just gave up on the simulation.
They had to abandon the academic laboratory entirely. And that realization is the direct catalyst for the physical reality of RestoCamp.
Which brings us to the actual physical location of this campus. Because when I read the geographical coordinates for RestoCamp in Sam-Erik's notes, I actually had to read the paragraph twice to make sure I understood the logistics.
It's definitely not what you expect.
No. It is located at the Mall of Tripla. Sam-Erik gives us these highly specific directions to visualize it. He says you take any local train from Helsinki's main railway station and you get off at the very first stop, Pasila Station.
Right. And the defining characteristic of Pasila Station and the Mall of Tripla is the relentless kinetic energy.
The mall and the RestoCamp campus itself are literally located directly above the train tracks.
Think about the sheer volume of human traffic surging through that infrastructure every single day. You have thousands of daily commuters.
International shoppers.
Tourists, business people, all converging in one location. It is a high-stress, high-volume commercial transit hub.
It is the absolute antithesis of a quiet, leafy, suburban college quad, with ivy on the brick walls. They dropped a university right into the middle of a massive commercial circulatory system.
Exactly.
And Sam-Erik points out that RestoCamp is designed around 3 core principles. The first is attractiveness, because obviously you have to compete on a global scale for top talent.
Right, it has to look good and draw people in.
Yeah. The second is functionality, because you learn a hands-on craft by physically doing it. And the third is collaboration.
But it is crucial to elevate what collaboration really means in this context.
It's not just group projects.
No, it is not just about students doing group projects in a library. It is about deep economic integration. By placing the campus in a mall, the curriculum is subjected to a high-stakes, real-time feedback loop.
From the actual customers.
Dictated by actual commercial consumer behavior, not just the theories of an academic board.
Here's where it gets really interesting. When I look at those 3 principles, and this location suspended over a major transit hub, I don't see a traditional school. I see a biological ecosystem.
A biological ecosystem, I like that.
Yeah, because in traditional education, students are kept in a terrarium. It's safe, it's observable, but it's completely artificial. RestoCamp is like a living reef.
Ah, okay.
You have students, real-world businesses, and everyday commuters all symbiotically feeding off each other. The students need real customers to practice their craft on. The businesses need fresh talent to solve actual market problems.
And the public gets access to cutting-edge hospitality experiences.
Right. They are all sharing the exact same oxygen.
That ecosystem analogy frames the dynamic perfectly. To sustain that symbiosis, external partners aren't just dropping in for a one-hour guest lecture.
Like they do at most universities.
Exactly. Here, they are actively utilizing the space. RestoCamp operates as a highly dynamic platform rather than just a static building.
What does that look like in practice?
Well, you have pop-up restaurants appearing to test new market concepts, live corporate projects being executed by students for actual paying clients. It's constant spatial evolution.
So the physical layout physically adapts to whatever the market demands on any given week.
It has to.
Which makes me wonder how you even begin to design a building for that level of integrated chaos. I mean, you can talk a big game about ecosystems and symbiosis, but what does it actually look like when you step off that train at Pasila Station and walk into the facility?
Right, the actual floor plan.
Yeah. Sam-Erik's tour covers roughly 1,300 square meters of highly intentional design. But instead of just listing off rooms like a real estate brochure, let's think about how a student actually moves through this space to solve a problem.
Okay, let's play that out.
Let's say a student is tasked with designing an entirely new dining concept for a corporate partner. They wouldn't just walk into a kitchen and start chopping vegetables, would they?
No, absolutely not. Because the modern hospitality industry isn't just about the food on the plate, it's about the entire psychological package.
A vibe, basically.
The vibe, the atmosphere, everything. So a student embarking on that project would likely start their journey in what RestoCamp calls the sensory classrooms.
The sensory classrooms. This concept totally fascinated me when reading the source material. What exactly are they measuring and manipulating in a sensory room?
What's fascinating here is how they treat hospitality as a rigorous blend of applied psychology and physics.
Physics.
Yes. A sensory classroom focuses heavily on immersion and the hard science of experience design. Modern hospitality views a hot meal or a clean hotel bed as bare minimum baseline expectations.
That's just the price of entry.
Exactly. True hospitality is holistic. In these sensory classrooms, students manipulate environmental variables to measure human responses.
Give me an example of that.
Sure. They might adjust the ambient scent, say, introducing a subtle hint of vanilla versus citrus to see if it demonstrably lowers a guest's heart rate on a biometric monitor.
Oh, wow. They're actually monitoring heart rates.
Yes. Or they alter the temperature of the artificial lighting, moving from a harsh blue to a warm amber to study how it changes menu readability.
That makes sense.
Or even the perceived taste and warmth of a bowl of soup.
Wait, lighting can change how hot soup feels.
It changes the perception of it, yes.
That is wild. So
Wrong.
they're essentially treating a physical dining room the way a software tech company treats A/B testing a new app interface.
Yes.
They're just looking for raw user experience data.
That is a revealing parallel, actually. You simply cannot teach the nuances of experience design on a static whiteboard.
No, you definitely can't.
You have to immerse the student in a highly calibratable environment so they can physically tweak those atmospheric variables and observe the real-time, measurable reactions of actual human beings.
Okay, so our hypothetical student has mapped out the psychology of their new dining concept in the sensory room. They know the lighting, the scent, the acoustics.
We have the blueprint.
Right.
Mhm.
Now they need the hardware to actually pull it off. Sam-Erik mentions these demo kitchens in his notes. And my first thought was, a standard high school home economics room with that slanted overhead mirror so everyone can watch the instructor whisk an egg.
Oh, yeah, we all remember those.
Right, but these aren't just spaces for passive observation, are they?
It's not. Not at all. The demo kitchens serve as advanced innovation labs. This is where brand new, totally unreleased culinary technologies are actively tested.
So they're getting stuff before the public does.
Exactly. Students work directly alongside the actual equipment manufacturers to beta test the future of restaurant hardware.
That's a huge advantage for their resumes, honestly.
It's massive. They figure out the operational limits of a new smart oven or a robotic inventory management system before that technology ever hits the broader commercial market.
Then comes the ultimate stress tests, I assume. They move from the controlled experimentation of the demo kitchen into the production kitchens.
Yes.
And these are functioning at a dual level, right?
Yeah.
They are teaching environments, yes, but they are also operating as professional commercial kitchens simultaneously.
This is where that human unpredictability we discussed earlier finally comes into full play. The food being produced here isn't just for a professor's grade at the end of a semester.
People are actually eating it.
It has to meet the rigorous standards of the live market. If a vital piece of kitchen equipment fails mid-service, Or if a supply chain hiccup means they are suddenly short on a crucial ingredient, the students have to troubleshoot the crisis in real time.
While actual paying customers are waiting at the tables just a few feet away.
Exactly.
Think about the last time you ate at a restaurant. Now imagine the kitchen staff testing cutting-edge tech from a manufacturer while simultaneously earning their degree.
It's a lot of pressure.
And they are managing real logistics in these flexible event spaces too, which Sam-Erik noted are capable of hosting up to 200 people.
200 people is no joke.
Right. They are dealing with real crowd dynamics, the roar of a busy room, and real financial stakes. It really forces them to build a tolerance for operational panic.
It builds resilience. That's the key. And finally, tying all this 1,300 square meters together, you have the collaborative lounges.
The lounges.
Yeah. These are hybrid spaces that intentionally don't look like traditional classrooms or rigid corporate offices. They are designed to essentially force spontaneous interaction.
So you just bump into people.
Yes. You have students, professors, external business partners, and industry influencers all sharing the same physical gravity, grabbing a coffee, and just bumping into each other.
It is the ultimate collision space. And we really often underestimate the value of unforced collisions in professional development.
We really do.
When you put a 20-year-old student full of untested radical ideas in the exact same casual lounge as a 50-year-old hotel executive who intimately knows the brutal logistical realities of the market.
The conversations are magic.
Yeah, the conversations that happen in that unstructured space are often more valuable than a semester's worth of formal lectures. It totally shatters the hierarchical barriers that usually separate the learner from the practitioner.
It reframes the entire concept of networking, from something you do at an awkward post-graduation mixer to something that is just baked into the daily oxygen of the campus.
When you zoom out and look at the sum total of all this, the sensory rooms measuring acoustics, the demo kitchens beta testing unreleased hardware, the production kitchens managing live crowds, all suspended above a massive train station with an institutional history dating back to 1969.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. You really start to grasp the magnitude of Sam-Erik's experience at that morning breakfast meeting.
We are looking at a fundamental paradigm shift in pedagogy. We are moving away from the concept of education as a standalone place, a quiet fortress you retreat into for 4 years to read books.
Right, the ivory tower.
Exactly. And moving toward education as a deeply integrated ecosystem. The major takeaway from Haaga-Helia's RestoCamp is that the future of this industry will not be built in isolated classrooms.
No, definitely not.
It will be forged in environments exactly like this, where learning, commerce, and human interaction happen concurrently in the exact same square footage.
So what does this all mean? Why should you, the listener, care about a hospitality campus above a train station in Finland if you work in, say, software or retail or healthcare?
It's a great question.
Because understanding how the most forward-thinking institutions are training the next generation of talent gives you a direct preview of what the future of your own industry is going to look like.
Absolutely.
The days of hiring someone who only understands the theoretical model of your business are fading fast. The future really belongs to organizations that integrate their operations with their talent pipelines, drawing on people who have already been stress-tested by the live market.
Which brings us to a rather provocative scenario.
Oh, let's hear it.
If this model of dropping a vibrant, high-tech learning campus directly into a commercial mall works so brilliantly for hospitality, imagine what happens when we start applying this aggressively to other fields.
Oh, man.
What if future city planners don't learn in a sequestered university architecture hall, but are educated directly inside a busy mayor's office, dealing with live zoning crises and angry public hearings?
I would be intense.
Right. Or what if software engineers never set foot on a traditional leafy campus, but earn their degrees sitting directly inside a live tech incubator, coding alongside startups fighting for venture capital?
Trial by fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Does the traditional geographically isolated university campus eventually become obsolete entirely?
Are we finally going to abandon the empty theater because everyone is learning out on the live Broadway stage? That is exactly the kind of question that forces you to rethink everything about how we acquire knowledge and build expertise.
It really is.
And we are going to leave you to mull that one over on your own. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Sam-Erik's world and the incredible innovations happening in Helsinki. Keep questioning how you learn, stay intensely curious, and we will catch you next time.